news like we used to. I've talked about this.
So this is Tim Pool. This is his Timcast channel. Mainstream news is dying. Company lays off 50% of staff. That's a story, but he's going to start it off with a bit of a preface, and I'm gonna play like the first 30 seconds here, and then I'm gonna jump forward to when he actually starts to read from this article a bit, and then I'll commentate after that.
Over and over again. If I was going to make a video that was just facts, it would be probably less than a minute long. And that's why in most of my videos on my main channel, what I try to do is get the core of the story in that first opening segment, be it 30 seconds or a minute long. Because, like today's video by Trevor Noah, the first sentence I said is all the news you need. It's boom, you're updated. Trevor Noah is implicated in another scandal, and people are calling for a boycott. And then beyond that, so you have the headline, you understand the story, and then I can get into the core details of it, and then expand upon how I feel about it and how this relates to other things. So it's kind of like a tier system of, here's the data.
This is generally how it works for me as well when I create my content. So there's that little setup. So he's talking about how news is produced among independent. Not necessarily among independents, but certainly he's talking about how he does it. But it's kind of how a lot of us do it. So I'm going to skip forward here to about the 3-minute mark, and this is where he's going to start reading from the article. And we're going to listen a little bit here, and then we're add a little commentation to this.
The splashy front pages laid off half its newsroom staff on Monday, marking the latest round of cuts at the beleaguered Tronc Company's media holdings. We are fundamentally restructuring the daily news. An email from Tronc to the staff reads, "We are reducing today the size of the editorial team by approximately 50% and refocusing much of our talent on breaking news, especially in areas of crime, civil justice, and public responsibility." There you go. Why would anyone dedicate any time to anything other than crime, civil justice, and public responsibility? Do you know what that really just means? It means one thing: social justice. Because crime stories, what is that? Well, that's shock content. But sure enough, in the realm of crime, you have issues of social justice and Black Lives Matter. We hear stories about police, and then you get to civil justice. What does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean after the crime, you follow the story of the results of the trial and things like that? Probably.
Okay, so I mean the big news story here that we're talking about is that the New York Daily News is laying off half of its staff, and his story is it's because it's about ready to. Well, it's being converted to this SJW type stuff. You know, I hate using that term SJW because it's so overly broadly used. There's like not all people, even people that call themselves like would self-identify and say, "Yeah, I'm an SJW, a social justice warrior. I'm totally fine with that." There's I've talked to those people and those people, and there's a fair amount of them. They're not belligerent extremist. Let's get the government to crush everything. Let's use the market to crush everyone. Kind of radical nut job extremists. That really is a small fringe, but unfortunately, it's a small fringe. It's got a lot of people like listening to them and following wherever they lead. So apparently, I don't know if he's going to say that they made that switch already, and that's why they're going down, or what it is. So I'm going to listen just a little bit more, and we're going to wrap this up.
I'd imagine, but that's usually criminal justice. Civil justice, to me, kind of refers to, like, lawsuits. I don't know what they mean by that. Do they mean social justice? Maybe. And what is public responsibility? Does that, too, fall into social justice? So it sounds like they have crime, social justice, and social justice. And it's unsurprising. Like I mentioned, we don't need we don't need these big news organizations to read us the news anymore. That's why CNN has switched some of their late-night programming to documentary shows, because they need to make it entertaining. We don't need to watch 24-hour news because we have Twitter. Twitter is where we get news. It's the constant news feed with updates and facts. So we do need journalists, but the problem is it has become so distributed that a journalist can't support themselves just doing journalism. When I was younger, maybe like 6 years ago, and I just went on the ground and did live streaming, unsustainable. Then I tried doing...
Yeah, and this is... Yeah, I ran a newspaper for a few years in Tioga County. I wasn't the first editor. but I wasn't the last. But I was an editor for a huge chunk of time, and the stories that actually did well there were the crime stories. Ironically enough, crimes, accidents, thefts, deaths. Those are big stories for the most part. The good stories, the really investigative report type journalistic stories. Not really. Not much to that. Nope. Didn't. I mean, we did some investigative stuff. We didn't do much of it because whenever we did it, it didn't pay off. It didn't generate the views. I mean, I could do a basic your basic police scanner report on an accident in which multiple vehicles are involved, and that thing might generate I don't know 15,000-20,000 views to the site. And this is a small site for a county of population of 40,000. So we're not talking about serving a huge market here. And yeah, so I can totally relate to that. So interesting. So I'm not going to get too much into the SJW stuff, but I recommend, though, you see the title there, to watch his whole video. I will, I think at some point I will add a link to the description if I don't forget. Hopefully I don't forget.